I stopped being my family's ATM until I found out my mom was using my daughter's birthday money to cover my brother. Hi, I'm Mark, 38, and 2 months ago I cut off my mom, my brother, and about half of what used to be called family. It started with a small fire figuratively and a text. Mom's got a plumbing issue. Kevin can't cover it. Can you help? It was a group chat. Family group chat. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't care, but because 2 days earlier, I'd already zelled my mom $250 for groceries and a bill. And last week, Kevin borrowed $100 just until Friday. It was always just until Friday. Kevin had been stuck in Friday for about 12 years. Now, let me pause. I'm the youngest. Not by age, Kevin's 42, I'm 38, but by the way the family treats us. Kevin is the baby. The fragile one. The one with bad luck, bad bosses, bad timing. I'm the one who always lands on his feet. Because I file my taxes. Because I show up. Because I keep my job even when I'm exhausted and on autopilot, so long I forget what it's like to rest. So when that text came through and I didn't respond, guess who followed up? Mom. She sent me a picture of the leaky sink. A faucet dripping into a plastic tub. Kevin's trying, honey, she wrote. He's looking for work, but you know how hard it is right now. I do. I work. I know exactly how hard it is. That's why I budget. That's why I said no to a weekend trip with my coworkers, and why my daughter wore last year's shoes a little too long before I replaced them. But no one asks what I gave up to keep things together. They just send the sink. I almost sent the money, out of habit, but something made me pause. It was 11:42 p.m., and I was sitting on the edge of my bed staring at my daughter's birthday list. She's turning 14 in 2 weeks. The top of her list? A weekend trip to New York to see Six, the musical. Not Taylor Swift expensive, but not cheap. It was the only thing on the list with a little heart drawn next to it. I looked at her handwriting. Neat, careful. She never asks for anything big. And I just sat there, my phone glowing with Mom's message, the sink, Kevin's needs, and my daughter's quiet heart. I didn't send the money. Instead, I turned my phone over and went to bed. The next morning, it began. Not a confrontation. A withdrawal. First, no good morning text from Mom. Then silence in the group chat. By noon, my cousin sent a message. You okay, Mark? Heard there's drama. Drama. I'd done nothing. That was the drama. I said no, not with attitude, not with cruelty. I just opted out. And that apparently was a declaration of war. By Tuesday, my mom had upgraded to guilt grenades. She called during my lunch break. I didn't pick up. Texted instead. At work, can I call you later? She didn't reply with okay. She replied with a full paragraph. I just don't understand what's going on. Kevin said you're upset? If this is about money, it's not that serious. You always make good money, honey. Kevin's in a rough spot. The least we can do is help each other. That word. We didn't agree to help Kevin. We didn't vote. We didn't split the cost. I did. And I had been, quietly, for years. I used to think she didn't realize. That she didn't see how often I was the one plugging the holes in Kevin's boat while he kept drilling new ones. But no. She knew. She just expected it. Because in her world, Kevin is the one who can't, and I'm the one who will. That night, while Mia was doing homework at the kitchen table, I pulled out my bank app, scrolled through my transactions. Over the past year. $300 here for Kevin's car broke down. $200 there for just until he gets paid. $150 for his phone plan I didn't remember agreeing to. $600 I zelled to Mom to help with rent that I now realize was covering his share. I added it up. Nearly $4,800. That's not generosity. That's subsidizing. Mia looked up. Everything okay? I lied, just checking bills. She nodded and went back to her math. And suddenly I saw it clear as a lightning bolt. Mia's not going to inherit this system. She's not going to grow up watching me bleed dry while people call it love. She's not going to think that being responsible means being available for sacrifice. Because I remember being a kid and watching my dad sigh over bills while Mom said, "Your brother just needs time." I remember thinking, when I grow up, I'll help. I'll be the good one. And I was. God help me, I was. Until now. I opened my recurring payments. Paused the monthly help I sent Mom. Cancelled the auto-pay on Kevin's phone line. Then I did something terrifying. I wrote a group text. I'm not available to help financially anymore. I need to focus on my daughter and our future. I hope Kevin finds the support he needs, but it won't be coming from me. Then I put my phone down and walked away. It buzzed almost immediately. Mom. This is really selfish, Kevin. Wow. All because of a few bucks. I thought you were better than this. I didn't reply. Because here's the thing no one tells you. Saying yes feels easier until you do it too many times. Then it's a trap. The real fallout didn't hit until the weekend. Saturday morning, 8:03 a.m. my doorbell rang like it was urgent. I opened it to find my mom on the porch holding a plastic container of banana bread like it was a peace offering, but her face said court summons. Can we talk? I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. You didn't have to drive over, I said, already exhausted. Well, you weren't answering your phone, she said, like that was a crime. I figured you'd cooled off by now. I'm not angry, I said, and that was true. I'm just done. She tilted her head like I'd spoken a language she didn't understand. Done with what? Family? Helping each other? I didn't take the bait. I'm done being the emergency fund. She pressed the banana bread into my hands. It's not always about money. It's always about money, I said. And when it's not, it's about guilt. Her voice hardened. Kevin is struggling. I nodded. He's always struggling. She flinched like I'd hit her. He's your brother. And Mia's my daughter. Silence. She asked for one thing this year, I said. A trip to New York. You know how much I've already helped you both this year? She didn't answer. Almost $5,000, I said. That's what I counted. There's probably more I forgot. Her eyes widened. That can't be right. It is. And every time it's he needs help, you have a job. Like that cancels it out. Like my effort is unlimited and his need is sacred. I could see her trying to regroup. We've always helped each other, Mark. When you were starting out. I never stole from anyone's kid to pay rent, I said. Her lips parted. Yeah, I said, reading her face. You didn't think I knew, but I did. When I paused the transfer, Kevin texted me the same day asking why. That was her birthday money, wasn't it? The $250 I sent last week. You didn't buy groceries. You gave it to him. She looked away. Thank you for confirming, I said, voice steady. I didn't know it was her birthday, she whispered, like that made it okay. There it was. The truth. Not cruelty. Indifference. My kid didn't even factor into the equation. I'm not mad at you, I said again, but I'm protecting Mia now. From all of this. From being the backup plan. Her voice broke. So that's it? You're cutting us off? I'm setting a boundary, I said. What you do with it is up to you. She stepped back. You think you're better than us? No, I said. I just think Mia deserves better than this. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Then she turned and walked to her car. I watched her drive away with banana bread still in my hands. I didn't throw it out. I didn't eat it either. I just set it on the counter next to the birthday list. A line was drawn that morning, and not with words. With silence. With locked accounts. With saying no and meaning it. That Sunday, I took Mia to the park. Not because we had some big father-daughter moment planned, but because I needed to see her in sunlight. I needed the reminder that joy still existed outside group texts and emotional extortion. She was sitting on a bench, hoodie up, reading a dog-eared copy of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. She looked peaceful. I brought her an iced coffee and sat beside her. She took the coffee, sipped it, didn't look up. You and Grandma fighting? I exhaled slowly. You overheard? Not the words. The silence. That hit me harder than if she'd said she heard shouting. Because there hadn't been any. Just absence. She came by, I said. She doesn't understand why I stopped helping Uncle Kevin. Mia looked at her coffee. She never does. I turned toward her. What do you mean? She hesitated. Then, remember last year? My Chromebook broke? I nodded. You said you'd replace it by the end of the month, but Grandma got me one like immediately. Right. I remembered. I thought it was generous at the time. She told me not to tell you, Mia said. Said you were stressed. Said Kevin needed your help more. So she used her money instead. That wasn't generosity. That was strategy. She replaced something my kid needed, so I could keep covering Kevin's rent. She made it sound like you couldn't handle it, Mia added softly. My jaw tightened. I didn't believe her, she said quickly. I just felt weird about it. Like I was in the middle of a secret. You were, I said. And I'm sorry. She looked at me serious. Are you mad? Not at you, I said. I'm mad that she involved you at all. Mia shrugged like she'd already accepted it. That's what gutted me. She thought this was normal. You're allowed to be mad too, I told her. She didn't answer right away, just sipped her coffee. I think I'm just tired. That's what generational dysfunction does. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just exhausts you. We sat in silence for a while. Finally, she looked at me and said, Can we still go to New York? Absolutely, I said. Her eyes lit up. Just a little. Not full excitement, more like hope trying to stretch its legs again. Cool, she said. We don't have to make it big. We could just do a day trip. Or even next month. Whatever works. No, I said, smiling. We're going. This month. Your birthday month. The one your uncle tried to steal. She grinned, and it was like the sun came out a little stronger. We started planning right there on the bench. What to pack, which show, what kind of pizza to get. Real-life things. Forward-facing things. Not once did we talk about Kevin. Not once did we say grandma or rent or helping. We were out of orbit. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like gravity had let go of my shoulders. The trip wasn't extravagant. 2 train tickets. 1 hotel room that smelled a little like carpet cleaner and dreams deferred. A pair of decent seats in the mezzanine for 6, the musical. We split a slice of dollar pizza at 10 p.m. and both agreed it was the best thing we eaten in months. It wasn't flashy, but it was ours. And for Mia, it was church. She lit up when the curtain rose. She sang every word under her breath like it was sacred. She even wore the little rhinestone crown I surprised her with that morning in the hotel. Not because she needed a costume, because she finally felt like she was allowed to be somebody's priority. During intermission, she leaned over, cheeks flushed, and said, Thank you for not letting them ruin this. I didn't say anything, just squeezed her hand. Because the truth was, they almost had. If I hadn't drawn the line when I did, this would have been another story Mia told herself about how birthdays don't work out, how there's always something more important, how Uncle Kevin's rent or Grandma's guilt eclipse everything else. But here she was 14, glittering, fully present. That mattered more than anyone's discomfort over my boundaries. After the show, we walked through Times Square. She took a picture with a guy in a knockoff Spider-Man suit and handed him a crumpled dollar with the seriousness of a diplomat. We laughed. A real laugh. The kind that empties your lungs. At midnight, back in the hotel, she curled up under the blanket, still wearing the crown. Can we do this every year? I nodded. Every single year. Then she said something I'll never forget. I didn't know grown-ups could change the rules. I turned toward her. What do you mean? She yawned. Like I thought when you're part of a family, the rules are set. Like, Kevin always needs. Grandma always defends him. You always pay. That's just how it is. I thought you had to do it forever. Her voice was so matter-of-fact, like she was listing facts from a textbook. And I realized what my silence over the years had cost her. She saw it all. Every time I bit my tongue, or sighed and transferred money, or avoided conflict to keep the peace, she learned that love meant tolerance. That responsibility meant silence. That grown men could be drained dry in the name of loyalty and still smile like it was normal. No, I said. You can change the rules anytime, especially when they're hurting people. She blinked at me. Even if it makes everyone mad. Especially then, I said. Because the people who love you will understand eventually. And the ones who don't? They were never playing fair to begin with. She didn't reply. Just leaned her head against my shoulder and drifted off. I sat there in the half-dark of that ugly little hotel room, listening to her breathe, and I made myself a promise. We don't go back. No more just this once. No more he's trying. No more watching my kid learn self-sacrifice before she even knows what her own boundaries are. We came home to predictably scorched earth. Kevin had posted a vague status on Facebook about family betrayal and some people value money more than blood. 3 of my aunts commented, praying for you, babe. One said, don't worry, karma always comes for the cold ones. I didn't engage. I didn't respond. Mia saw it, scrolled silently, then closed the app and said, "Do you want to get tacos?" That's it. That's how generational curses break. Not with a loud speech, not with a tearful confrontation, but with someone younger saying, "Do you want tacos?" And someone older saying, "Yeah, I do." A week after we got back, my dad called. I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail, listened to it with my coffee in one hand and Mia's leftover toast in the other. "Mark, it's your father. I don't know what's going on between you and your mother, but I think it's time you two talked it out. Kevin's not doing great. You cutting him off hit him hard. He's not eating, says he's depressed. I know you're upset, but this isn't how family handles things." There it was again, that soft-laced guilt, the way they turn consequences into cruelty. I sat with the message for a minute. I didn't feel angry. I felt insulated, like there was a wall between their reality and mine now, and I was finally on the right side of it. I forwarded the voicemail to a folder on my phone called Family Boundary Attempts that I'd created for my own clarity. Not to weaponize, just to remember, because people like this rewrite the narrative so fast, you start to wonder if you imagined the original story. Then I did something bold. I called back. "Hi," I said when my dad picked up. He sounded surprised. "You actually called?" Briefly, I said, "I just want to be clear. Kevin isn't my responsibility anymore. I've said that already, but I'll say it again." He sighed, long and heavy, like I was a disappointment he didn't know how to mold anymore. "You've changed, Mark." "I've grown up," I said. "It looks similar." There was a beat of silence. Then he tried a new angle. "He's your brother." "I know," I said. "And Mia is my daughter." "She's fine," he said quickly, and that's when I knew this conversation was already over. Because anyone who says she's fine about a child who was stolen from, because that's what it was, theft, is not someone I'm negotiating with anymore. "I have to go," I said. "I hope Kevin gets the help he needs. But it won't be from me. And it won't be at Mia's expense." He didn't say goodbye, just hung up. Asterisk asterisk. That night, Mia and I were watching TV when she looked up and said, "Are we really done with them?" I paused the show. Define done. Like, the part where they call and ask for money and you say yes and then pretend nothing happened after. I smiled. "Yeah, that part's over." She nodded. "Good." Then she reached for the remote. Unpaused the episode. No drama. No long speech. Just relief. And the realization that sometimes the healthiest legacy you can leave your kid is not letting them grow up thinking love means losing yourself to prove it. 3 weeks later, my brother emailed me. Not a text, not a call, an actual email like it was 2007 and he was applying for a job he didn't want. Subject: "Can we talk?" Body: "Look, I know things got messy. I just want a chance to explain. I never meant to hurt Mia. I was desperate. You know how it gets. Please don't shut me out forever. I'm trying." I stared at it for a long time. The tone was new, less defensive, almost apologetic. But even still, something in me didn't buy it. Because here's what Kevin always forgets. The wound didn't come from a stranger. It came from someone who knew what it would cost. He knew those tickets were a birthday gift. He knew I'd been working extra shifts. He knew what it would feel like for a teenage girl to be turned away at the gate while music and lights and everyone else's joy spilled and past her. He knew, and he did it anyway. So no, this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was math. He needed money. I had value. Mia had tickets. I didn't reply. I forwarded the email to the same folder as the voicemail. Then I deleted it from my inbox. Not out of rage. Out of maintenance. The way you empty trash so it doesn't smell. Later that night, Mia and I were at the grocery store picking up pancake mix. A woman from church, Miss Darlene, sweet voice, too many floral skirts, spotted us in the baking aisle. "Oh, Mark," she said, smiling. "I ran into your mama last week. She says you and Kevin had a falling out." I paused, glancing at Mia. She looked down, suddenly interested in maple syrup labels. "Something like that," I said. "Just some long overdue boundaries." Miss Darlene nodded slowly like she wasn't quite sure what that meant. "Well, I hope y'all patch it up. Life's too short." I smiled politely. I think life's exactly long enough to stop repeating patterns that hurt. She blinked. "Oh." We moved on. got our pancake mix, drove home, made dinner. Halfway through eating, Mia said, "People are gonna think you're mean now, huh?" I shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe they'll realize I'm serious. Grandma thinks you're the villain. Maybe, I said again. But I don't care who she thinks I am. I care who you know I am. Mia took another bite. I know who you are. And that was the moment. Not the tickets. Not the refund. Not even the trip to New York. That was the moment I knew you were really free. Not just from Kevin. Not just from my mom. But from the version of family that confuses access with love. 3 months later, I got a letter in the mail. Not a bill. Not junk. An actual handwritten envelope addressed in my mother's looping, Catholic school script. Inside, a birthday card for Mia. On the front, balloons, glitter, a cartoon bear holding flowers. Inside, a $20 bill folded once and a note. Tell Mia grandma loves her very much. I hope she knows that. Maybe someday she'll understand that family is messy but love is always there. Give her a hug for me. Mom. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a soft little rewrite of the past. Like she hadn't stood in my hallway 3 months ago, furious that I chose my kid over my brother's overdue rent. Like she hadn't told me I was cold, hadn't said she'll get over it, when her granddaughter stood at a locked concert gate with tears in her eyes. I showed Mia the card. I didn't hide it. She opened it, read it, stared at the 20 like it was a trap. Then she folded the card and handed it back to me. Can you throw that away? I don't want to deal with it. I did. Because Mia doesn't owe anyone forgiveness on a timeline that suits them. She doesn't owe them a path back in. And I don't owe them access to her just because they're ready to pretend it never happened. Love without accountability isn't love. It's control. So we stayed out. I got a new phone number 2 weeks later. Quietly. No announcement. I took Mia off every shared plan, set up her own debit account, helped her build a budget. We talk about money now openly. Not like it's a ghost that haunts the adults, but a tool she's learning to use. Her 15th birthday is coming up. She's picking the restaurant. No surprise parties. No group celebrations. Just me and her. Maybe a few of her friends. She's already made one rule. No one gets to drop in this year. I smiled when she said it. Not because I was proud, but because she's learning to protect herself. And if all this mess, all this noise, all this family fallout gave her that skill a decade earlier than I learned it, then maybe it was worth it. I still drive my car, still work weekends, still clip coupons and know which gas station knocks off 5 cents on Tuesdays. But I no longer spend my quiet hours wondering if I'm a bad son for saying no. Because I'm not trying to be a good son anymore. I'm trying to be a good father. And the difference. A good son keeps the family peace even if it costs his kid. A good father draws a line at his daughter's feet and says, "This far, no further, not with her, never again." That's who I am now. And if anyone wants back in, they can start with an apology. And no, banana bread doesn't count.